Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we are opening up something that I think is secretly the biggest bottleneck for anyone trying to scale a business. Doesn't matter the size, doesn't matter the industry. We're digging into that crucial difference, trying to answer what really separates strategic founders from just, busy operators. And if you're building something ambitious, you absolutely know this feeling, the sheer pull of the day-to-day tasks, emails, calls, the constant demands. It just sucks you right in. You end up spending all your time working in the business, basically putting out fires instead of working on it, actually building something for the long haul. So our mission today is to find that shortcut, that mechanism to really shift into that strategic mindset.
Yeah, and that mechanism, it actually exists. We call it the CEO Hour Protection Plan. And look, this isn't just, oh, I'll block out an hour for focus time and kind of hope it works out. No, it's a structured system. It's rigorous, and it's specifically designed to combat your brain's default mode, which is, let's face it, often reactive chaos and decision fatigue.
Yeah.
It's really about establishing this ritualized block of time that transforms you from being maybe the best employee in your company, the chief operator, into the actual founder, the visionary.
Okay, let's unpack this because honestly, I've tried scheduling focus time, and the second I close the door, something urgent always seems to pop up and pull me away. So how is this system different? Different from just writing deep work in my calendar and, I don't know, crossing my fingers.
Well, it's different because it's rooted in psychology and, crucially, consistency, not just whether you have a gap in your schedule. We have to start by identifying the time when your decision-making power is genuinely at its peak. This can't just be any random free hour. It absolutely must align with your, let's call it, peak energy time. Strategic work, it demands heavy lifting, cognitively synthesizing information, seeing connections, making tough choices. You need your brain firing on all cylinders, basically at 100%.
Right, so circumventing that decision fatigue by tapping into our natural focus high tide. Okay, but how do we find that window, practically speaking?
You track it. For 1 week, just track your productivity, your focus levels. Jot down notes. When do you feel sharpest? When does complex thinking feel easier? For most people doing high-level work, that prime time, that real capacity, it's usually in the morning hours, often even before the main rush of the office day kicks in, and that's precisely where you schedule the CEO hour.
Okay, the morning. Makes sense.
And that leads right into the second critical piece you mentioned, consistency. It really needs to be the same time slot every single day. Consistency isn't just about building the habit and, the neural pathways for you. It's actually the fastest way to train everyone else, your team, your colleagues, about their expectations. This time becomes sacred, non-negotiable if you start moving it around.
Then they learn it's flexible. Yeah, okay.
Exactly. They learn it's optional.
That makes a ton of sense. That consistency communicates the value, doesn't it, to everyone else? But okay, before we even get to defending the time, we need crystal clarity on what actually belongs in that hour. What goes inside the fortress? Because if I just default to my urgent to-do list, well, I've already failed, haven't I? What is CEO level work, really? Versus just, operational stuff.
Yeah, that distinction is critical. You absolutely must define those high-value activities, the ones that directly contribute to future business growth. Here's a simple test. If it could realistically be delegated to a capable manager, it probably doesn't belong in your CEO hour. We're talking strictly about things like, say, developing the 90-day strategy or modeling the financial viability of a potential new product line, maybe deep research into a future market expansion. Big picture stuff.
Okay, give me a negative example then. What's something that feels important, feels strategic maybe, but absolutely should not be polluting this precious hour?
Okay, good question. Drafting an email to a potential major partner, even a really important one, that feels strategic, right? But writing the email itself, that's operational execution. Now, what is strategic and does belong in the hour is maybe modeling the financial impact of that potential partnership, or outlining the long-term effects on your supply chain, or maybe creating the high-level framework for the pitch itself. The second you start doing the task, executing.
The hour's lost.
Got it. Okay. So we've defined the work, we've scheduled it for peak energy time. Now, the really hard part, I think, for most people, protection. How do we build that fortress? Create the environment that just screams deep work and keeps the outside world out.
Right, protection. You need to control two key environments, the physical and the digital. Let's start with the physical space. You need a designated spot, specifically for this, distraction-free. Ideally, it's separate from where you do your routine tasks, your emails, your calls. Your brain needs that environmental cue. So if you answer emails at desk A, do your CEO hour at desk B, or maybe even just a specific chair in a quiet corner, it signals the shift.
The dedicated space.
Okay.
Then, the second piece, and this is often the tougher one, the digital boundary. We call it the technology blackout protocol. And this part, it has to be non-negotiable. Silence your phone completely. Turn off all desktop notifications, especially email pop-ups. Close every single browser tab that isn't absolutely essential for the strategic task at hand. Honestly, many successful founders even use website blockers during this hour, just to prevent that almost subconscious reflex to check news, social media, whatever. It's about proactively stopping those tiny pulls that fragment your attention before you even get started.
That digital blackout. Yeah, that's where it gets really interesting because no matter how clear your signals are, people will interrupt.
Right.
Maybe it's a co-founder or a key employee with something urgent, or heck, maybe it's just your own internal voice suddenly yelling, wait, I forgot to check that one thing. How do you handle those inevitable disruptions?
Okay, this requires what we call the 3 pillars of defense. First pillar, preparedness. You need everything ready before the hour starts, like the night before. Gather all the documents, the data, any notes you need. Eliminate any friction, any little excuse your brain might grab onto to make you leave the zone. And alongside preparedness are the visible signals. Closed door, maybe headphones on even if there's no music, perhaps even a small, clear sign. Communicate unavailability visually.
Okay, preparedness and signals. What's next?
The second pillar is the scripted response. And this is crucial. You must prepare, literally write down specific, polite, but firm, non-apologetic phrases to use when someone does interrupt. This is where a lot of founders stumble, honestly, because they worry about hurting morale or appearing unavailable.
See, that was exactly my skeptical question bubbling up. Isn't that risky? If I tell my lead engineer, hey, I'm in my strategic hour, can we talk at 11? Well, they feel dismissed. Or like their urgent issue isn't as important as my quiet thinking time. How do you deliver that script without making your team feel undervalued?
That's a fair challenge.
Yeah.
It's all about the framing. It's not just saying no. It's about providing an alternative pathway and linking it back to the bigger picture. So instead of just talk later, try something like, hey, I'm right in the middle of my strategic planning hour, which is focused on nailing down X project's future. Super critical for us. Can we dive into this properly at 11 a.m.? I want to give your issue my full undivided attention then. Smokey M. It communicates why the delay is happening for the good of the business, the project, whatever, not just personal preference. It actually models the importance of focus for everyone.
Okay, framing it for the business good, not just my time. I like that. And the third pillar.
The third pillar is defining emergencies. You have to establish clear, objective criteria for what actually constitutes an interruption-worthy emergency. If everything is labeled urgent, then nothing is truly sacred, right? So communicate this clearly to your team. Only interrupt this hour if there's an immediate threat to someone's safety, a major system outage affecting all clients, or, a potential catastrophic financial loss. Anything else, it can almost certainly wait until 11 a.m. or whenever the hour ends.
I love that. It puts the onus, the accountability on the person doing the interrupting to assess the severity. Okay, but what about those internal interruptions? Those brilliant random ideas that pop into your head during deep strategy, like a killer marketing tagline or some small product tweak. Not really strategic work for this hour, but stuff you absolutely don't want to lose.
Ah, yes, the shiny objects. That's exactly what the parking lot concept is for. Keep a dedicated notebook or a simple digital note right there beside you, physically separate from your main work. If a non-essential task reminder or one of those great but distracting ideas pops up, just quickly jot it down in the parking lot, just a keyword or two, then immediately return your focus to the deep work. It acknowledges the thought, gets it out of your head, but crucially, without switching your mental context. Context switching is the absolute kiss of death for deep focus.
The parking lot. Simple, effective. Okay, so we've set it up, we're defending it,
Yeah.
but just sitting there in silence isn't enough, right? We need to actually maximize the effectiveness of this protected time. How do we ensure we're genuinely productive, really moving the needle, not just present?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Maximizing the time starts before the hour begins with extreme prioritization. You limit your focus. Decide the night before on no more than, say, 3 specific strategic priorities for that hour, max. This prevents that deer-in-headlights moment when the hour starts, where you waste precious minutes deciding what to work on. It eliminates decision fatigue right at the outset and ensures you launch directly into the highest impact stuff.
3 priorities. Max. Got it. What else?
Next, implement the ritual. A very short, simple, consistent routine of like 30 seconds. It could be anything. Arranging your notebook and pen in a specific way, taking 3 deep, deliberate breaths, maybe putting on a specific piece of instrumental music, or simply rereading those top 3 priorities you set. This ritual, this tiny routine, acts as a powerful psychological trigger. It signals to your brain, okay, the operational day is done for now. It's time to shift gears immediately into strategic thinking mode. It effectively closes the mental door on everything else you just left behind.
Huh. That's powerful. It's like the mental equivalent of putting on a specific uniform just for that hour.
Okay, and how do we track progress? Make sure this focused effort is actually leading somewhere, paying off.
You need to maintain a CEO hour journal. Now, this isn't a Dear Diary situation, it's a log. You document the key insights you uncovered, the major decisions you made, and any critical action items that came out of that session. This habit does a few things. It captures those fleeting, potentially billion-dollar ideas before they evaporate. It builds strategic momentum because you see the progress. And importantly, it provides accountability. You also need to review this journal, maybe weekly, to see what's working, where you got stuck, or where you had a major breakthrough. Then you adjust your approach, reviewing and adjusting. Okay, so we're building the habit, making it effective. But let's be real. Long-term maintenance is the killer for so many founders, myself included sometimes. The moment the business really catches fire, the pressure is immense. The temptation is always, always to ditch the strategy hour, to go fight the immediate flames. How do we sustain this commitment when those pressures inevitably mount?
Right, sustainability. This is where we shift from just planning to active enforcement and reinforcement. The first strategy here is non-negotiable scheduling. You schedule these CEO hour blocks into your calendar, and you treat them with exactly the same immovable respect you'd give a meeting with your single most important client or investor. If you start treating it as optional or easily bumped, guess what? Everyone else will too. It loses its power instantly.
Treat it like your most important meeting. Okay.
Yeah. Second, use accountability tracking. Keep a simple compliance log. Did I complete the hour today? Yes, no. Was it genuinely distraction-free? Mostly. What one key thing did I accomplish or decide? Just a quick daily record. Measuring this sounds simple, maybe even trivial, but it immediately highlights patterns if your focus starts to slip. It forces awareness and helps you course correct quickly before the habit erodes completely.
And I guess it's not just about tracking the misses, right? It's also crucial to reinforce why you're doing it, celebrating the wins that come from this focused time.
Exactly. That's the final sustaining strategy. Reinforcement. You must consciously, explicitly connect specific business improvements back to the insights or decisions made during these protected hours. Maybe it's a new organizational structure that's working well, a successful product launch that was brainstormed then, a key strategic hire you identified. When you connect the practice to tangible, positive business outcomes, it massively strengthens your own commitment, especially when the pressure is on to abandon the system. You're modeling for yourself and your team that this hour is where the company's future gets built.
Wow. Okay, this really is a complete, powerful system. It feels like you've just laid out the blueprint. If you really want to know what separates those busy operators constantly reacting from the truly strategic founders, it isn't just about working harder. It's this intentional, almost rigorous protection of time and the systems you build around it. This approach, it seems, allows you to systematically shift away from that pattern of, well, reactive chaos towards proactive, measurable growth.
That's the goal. So to summarize the key action items for you, the listener, to implement right now. First, identify your peak energy time. Really nail that down. Second, define your high-value strategic work. Be strict. Use those negative examples. Third, implement that digital technology blackout protocol immediately. Don't wait. And finally, fourth, actually write down your polite but firm scripted responses for handling those inevitable interruptions. Get comfortable with them.
Okay. So what does all this mean for someone listening right now, maybe feeling that pull of the urgent as they think about scheduling their very first CEO hour tomorrow?
Well, it brings up a pretty powerful and I think very actionable question for you to consider. If you were honestly tracking your compliance with a dedicated CEO hour today, right now, what percentage of your last month would actually show up as truly dedicated, genuinely distraction-free strategic time? 5%, 10%, maybe less. Now, really think about this. What would a tangible business outcome in terms of revenue, maybe efficiency, maybe innovation, what would that outcome look like next quarter? If you could increase that compliance percentage by just 20%, that measurable difference, that's the gap between just operating and truly leading.